All right, so now that we've talked about something so heartwarming at the end there, we're going to go right back into the super depressive.
Ezra Miller.
Sucks.
Everything sucks! No. Okay. Oh, gosh. This is from the Daily Beast, and it says, 12-year-old granted order of protection against Ezra Miller. This is a different order of protection, ladies and gentlemen, than the one against for Dakota Iron Eyes' family. And yes,
he has multiple orders of protection
against multiple people.
minors.
One is a minor. One was a minor when he met her. This story is absolutely bonkers. It literally sounds like
every sentence gets more.
So
The thing is, I feel like
absurd.
this justifies all the week's Brett has had me talking about this guy.
Yes. Okay. So we're gonna skip past the stuff where they revamp the Dakota Iron Eye stuff. You guys know that story if you watch this podcast. He met her when she was 12. He brought her and members of her tribe out to London when she was 14. He tried to share a bed with her, which we found out the other day.
And how old was he at the time?
And he was 23 when they met when she was 12. Okay.
How did they meet when she was 12?
Because she was an activist. Her family were activists, and he was doing activist work on the reservation.
Guys, field of red flags. Just everyone read where they met.
Remember when I said it's not enough to just not be an activist. You have to be anti-activist. You have to be actively anti-activist.
You should have your kids be
Activist,
activists so they can meet great people like Ezra Miller.
And Greta Thunberg.
Okay, so here it is. Creator Mia Solange took to Twitter in April to accuse Miller of being an abuser, while the actor was arrested twice in Hawaii for disorderly conduct, harassment, and allegedly throwing a chair at a woman. Remember, we don't know if that was just a certain song at the bar. He just really hates karaoke. We know that. On top of all that, in 2020, a video went viral of Miller attacking a young fan in Iceland. Still with his role. Nothing has ever happened there. In the Massachusetts case, that's the one we're talking about now. Get ready. The Daily Beast reviewed a copy of the protection order signed by a judge that spoke with a 12-year-old accuser, their mother, and another neighbor who was present. The case docket has not been posted on the court's online system, so the official complaint made by the child's mother was not available. The Daily Beast also reviewed contemporaneous text messages sent by the mother and the neighbor, as well as photographs that corroborated parts of the accounts of the night in question. We are withholding the names for privacy reasons. On the evening of February 2nd, the trio contend that Miller was present in the downstairs neighbor's home in Greenfield, which is located about 40 miles away from the actor's ranch in Stamford, Vermont. The neighbor is in a band with Whitney Sutters, a musician who is close friends with Miller. Miller was wearing a bulletproof vest, and I had no idea until later that they were armed, recalls the visiting neighbor. Tensions began brewing when the mother said she mentioned doing some traveling recently with her tribe, those are her words, with her tribe of people, leading Miller to snap at her and accuse her of cultural appropriation. Then a conversation about board games allegedly went sideways. When after Miller claimed that the board game Parcheesi had Rastafarian roots, the visiting neighbor, who is half black, questioned Miller as to which set of Rastafari movement it originated from. At this point, Ezra exploded and started screaming directly in my face. The visiting neighbor tells me, quote, "They said you don't even know what the F you're talking about. What did you say to me? What did you say to me?" I was caught very off guard, the visiting neighbor continues. Then they opened up their jacket. They had this, big Sherpa jacket, and they opened up one side of their jacket, and you could see a gun. And they said, "Talking like this could get you into a really serious situation."
Over Parcheesi.
Over Parcheesi!
After
He's like, hey.
You can't say anything.
Don't
it speaks for itself.
Did you ever meet someone who's like, I have to be right all the time?
Yeah.
Like this to another level.
This is every time you see one of those gotcha interviews at a college campus when some neocon group goes and they're like, "What does socialism mean?" And they're like, "I don't know." They're like, "What is capitalism?" They don't know how to define it because they've been spoon fed from professors one side of the argument, so they don't actually know how to define their response. He is every person that has ever done that.
Also, where did he get this? The top of a Snapple cap? He was like, "Oh, Parcheesi is from Rastafarian roots."
Okay, it says
it's just it shows how unhinged he is. You can tell someone's crazy that they assign immense importance to some random detail of a conversation. They latch onto it like that.
Well, and
and then fly off the handle.
It's interesting that this person, the other person would use tribe, he would be like, cultural appropriation. By the way, here's all the things I know about Rastafarianism.
It gets worse.
Can't see how hypocritical he's being.
Next, according to the visiting neighbor, the mother and the child, Miller focused their attention on the 11-year-old, saying, "I've talked extensively with your child, and they have a lot of power to them. At one point, you're going to realize that you don't have any control over them anymore. They're an elevated being, and they would be lucky to have someone like me guide them.
He literally
Nothing that is ever said like that ends
he
well.
thinks he's some kind of like levitating shaman.
Also, like someone like me guiding them. Like, do you not have an understanding of like what's appropriate to say about someone's children?
Who's not your family?
Like,
I don't
or
think
even your
Ezra
family,
Miller
right? Like-
thinks he's even human anymore, because if you mix like being mentally unwell to this degree with fame and adulation, you literally lose sense of like the fact that you're even human.
Yep.
He's talking to people like he's an alien.
Yep.
Who just showed up.
He just got off the ship.
Even
Right.
those
100%
messages,
has to
That's
be on
not
some
an
drugs.
immigration line. That's a UFO line.
even the messages the other day, the Instagram stories that were like, I'm in another dimension. Like, he actually believes
I
that.
feel like, yeah.
They say Miller proceeded to turn to the mother, who dressed as goth, and accused her of being a witch and a vampire, repeatedly yelling at her, "Do you want to drink my blood? Do you?" And then Miller...
And this is like, he's doing this sober? Like, he's just...
No,
not-
they accuse him. They think he was... that is the one part I think they say like his pupils were dilated
They
and
think
everything
he's
like
like
that.
intoxicated.
So it says Miller then came back to the child and allegedly began pestering them with compliments. At one point, moving their chair closer to them, requesting that they add the actor on Instagram, and telling the child to pursue fashion. This only ends badly. They automatically were just weirdly drawn to me and kept talking about how they love my outfit and love my style, and kept going on about how it was great, the child remembers. It was really uncomfortable. I was really nervous. I was scared to be around them after he'd yelled at my mother and she was crying.
But this is the other thing. Like, they're at his house. He yells at the mom.
Their
apparently
house, not his
repeatedly.
house.
They're at
The mother's house.
and this guy is just hanging out at their house?
The mother is...
Why do they reference the guy's ranch? I thought they were at his ranch.
They're saying they were at their house 40 minutes from where he lived.
Why don't they just ask him to leave?
The mother and visiting neighbor both believe that Miller had been under the influence due to dilated pupils and erratic behavior. His behavior's always erratic. That's the problem. Miller apologized for the outburst, only to return to pester the family on a number of other occasions, including in late April, in May, and on June 4th, dressed as a cowboy. It doesn't feel
It
like
keeps
I feel like
getting
this article
worse.
is fake.
Also, like, why... Sorry, this is just like, maybe it doesn't matter, but like late April in May, and then they have a specific date on June 4th because he's dressed like a cowboy?
I guess.
No, this is like... Or was he like dressed like a cowboy
Also, like,
all the time?
he drives to their house and they're not like, don't come back here. Like, what's this family doing?
The mother and child maintain that Miller made the child uncomfortable by hugging them and pressing their body closely against them.
And this is before the last visit. So he came back repeatedly and we weren't like, Ezra Miller, we have a no you showing up here anymore policy.
It says
I mean, clearly, just like the Tokata Iron Eyes parents, these parents are not.
they're not.
What's happening?
They're not
Exactly
doing their job.
Models of.
The child expressed their interest in horses, and Miller said that they would acquire several horses so that the child could help care for them for the herd in Vermont, in his Vermont farm, which also struck them as
Literally get
inappropriate.
in my van.
Struck as this is them in this sentence. It's the child. This is the child being like, this seems inappropriate that this adult man would buy horses so I could hang out at his house.
It's literally somebody needs to Photoshop
Literally
a picture
have
of
some
him
candy, get in my van.
opening a
I
picture
have
of
a horse.
like Photoshop him opening a van door and there's just a horse inside. Like that's what this is. Ever since Dakota Iron Eyes news broke, however, they have not been seen or heard from since. They are literally on the run. Him and Dakota Iron Eyes.
They're on the run together.
The
12-year-old,
12-year-old, the other girl, the one from when he was
Crazy.
The other girl that he met when
Crazy.
she was 12.
Healthy, super healthy dynamic.
There's
I'm
a
loving it.
pattern of 12-year-olds.
I also never saw this part. It says on March 4th, 2022, asking for, so that was just a couple months ago, at a premiere for something called Asking For It. The revenge film tackles sexual assault and co-stars Miller and Vanessa Hudgens, Kiersey Clemens, and Alexandra Shipp. On April 20th, director Emma O'Rourke allegedly punches trans comedian Grace Freud
You
in
heard
the
that
face.
right.
Wait.
You did hear that right.
Sorry, you went. Someone was like, you know who we should have in a movie about sexual assault? Ezra Miller. He
Yes.
sounds like a great guy to have in a movie about assault.
They don't
do you
care.
know? Do you know? It'd be a really good idea to put him in it.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? Like, who is making these choices?
So it's absolutely bonkers, and it just keeps
I
getting
mean,
worse.
I do remember when he was a bit of like a media darling for a while before people
how
realized how
long?
insane he was.
I feel like he was a media. I mean, you're better at this than I am, but like, he was a media darling for like what? 10 weeks, and then they're like, oh, it turns out he's crazy.
No, like girls simped for him so hard for a long time before.
It lists
at
him
least
as indie darling from
before
2011 to
and even-
2015.
And even during like
Was I not
the time
alive?
after he chokeslammed that woman, I still saw that he had stands.
Was he? What was he doing? Like, it stands from what? He was in that. He was the.
Perks of Being a Wallflower. Was his,
Yeah, that's
like,
a big one for
Yeah,
him.
I've seen that too. But that was like, what? When did that come out?
2011 or something.
2011, and then he did nothing, and people were still like, "But do you remember that one movie and that time he was in Royal Pains?"
Yep, that's basically it. Hey,
What?
that Royal Pit? No, it's
Well,
not.
also he has eyeliner and fluffy hair.
That's
In
true.
a band.
They them pronouns.
Wow.
So who
and a
am I?
band.
And he has a band.
Oh, which Mary is a little bit of a fan of. I've heard.
He's
I
good,
mean, I don't hate it.
The music was
he's good looking and he has the right politics. That's why he can get away with it.
That's
it.
he doesn't have any politics. He's like
A
barely
self-
even
He's not
communicating.
coherent.
Like he's not even here.
It's like he's almost doing
Thus,
politics.
he belongs to the right tribe.
This is crazy. So okay, so he and
Oh, this, by the way, I forgot. The 12-year-old child is also non-binary. So this is another example
Cool.
of like he's.
I wonder
he's-
why.
He's preying on people, like
No.
Based
no
on identity.
way. This guy who's super into this weird advocacy who hangs out with children is weird.
He's-
and
he's-
preying on
They're
them?
not even teenagers.
No, he doesn't. That's too old for him. I don't know how. I don't know how
God,
Dakota's staying
dude.
around. Because Dakota's an adult now, right?
Yep, she's 18 now.
how does this end? How do you end this?
Does it ever?
It doesn't end well. There's no way this ends well.
Well, I just feel like what's gonna happen next.
I'm telling you, the movie, like I'm literally like
They've
in
got
my
to
own
drop it.
in my own brain, I see this as like a grand finale of like the movie coming out, and everyone just being like, why is he still like,
Yeah.
why is he still not in handcuffs, or at the very least, why is this getting made? Why is he being allowed to make this movie with all of this stuff coming out? And it's like, I look up these articles and there's people talking about it, but not, if this was anybody else, it would be so much more of an uproar.
And I don't understand it because he never even had that much of a fan base before. It's just like keeping up the narrative that like someone like this can, be
Thank you.
well adjusted and marketable, and he's not. He's clearly failing at that. And when the Tokata stuff came out, I was like, okay, it's time to drop it now.
Yeah.
It's time.
It's-
That was the
This is
straw
it.
that broke the camel's back. But that wasn't it either.
That was like a
this
week
is
ago.
the straw that broke the straw that broke the straw that
that broke that camel's back.
Yeah, like
when we did that first story, that broke me, and I was like, that first episode, I'm like, it's time
I
to
thought
just.
that was like, okay, this is it. They're
Yeah.
gonna drop him.
I was like, this is the story that
Nope.
that
Why
breaks
don't they care?
the $200 million film's back.
But
Uh,
no, like let's cyberbully Lizzo
But they're-
or something.
but
Like
so-
what is happening right now?
And he and this 18-year-old are like on the run, or like no one.
I
knows
mean,
where they
it's not
are?
exactly on the
Or
run.
they're just hanging out in
can't.
Vermont trying to see if this other kid will come.
They
over.
haven't served.
I'm not. I like that sounds gross. And
No,
gross,
I
but,
know,
like,
I
That's
know.
exactly what I
Sorry.
think is happening.
I mean,
was
they are
just-
looking for him, and he is
Who
not found.
like law enforcement is looking for him.
Yeah, to serve the
right,
serve the
they're trying to
protective
serve the
orders.
paper.
In the famous words of our beanie hero, most parents don't care about their kids. Like,
Yeah, these being
Crazy.
perfect
if
examples
ever
of that.
an example. Oh my god. Sorry.
So I was looking. I was curious as to what his parents did for a living. I remember somebody saying that his dad was like a film exec, and I thought that was wrong, and I think I do believe that's wrong. So it says
I had asked if he was the child of film exec because I could not understand why he kept sort of getting these major roles in Hollywood. Like it felt like there must be some nepotism. at play.
his mother Marta Miller is a modern dancer, and their father Robert S. Miller was senior vice president and managing director of Hyperion Books, and later became a publisher at Workman Publishing. So I mean, there's at the very least entertainment and publishing media influence there in the family, and I just don't know how this ends anyway but bad. I do not.
There isn't like it's all weird and bad.
Like I'm sick of talking about it, but at the same time,
I mean, I'm sick of talking about it, but I wish that like anyone else would, because I get that we're like finding more information about this all the time, and there are some news, like the news is covering it, but then like more than that, we're talking about like the Kardashians and Lizzo and like I don't know, Khloe Kardashian's BBL. Like I don't understand why no one cares about this and why we're like It's almost like we're just as crazy as him because we're finding like stupid things to fixate on that have nothing to do with the reality of the situation.
In the studio, like I guess I'm shocked. Like I don't know what the studio should say, but I'm just like
They don't need to say anything. They just need to not employ
should say
this man
something.
anymore.
But I'm saying, like, if they're not going to do that, and they're literally just anytime now somebody gets in trouble, and these people have to make their stupid comments about like I apologize for this. He's not apologizing.
I hate it because
The studio's
like,
not apologizing. Nobody's apologizing.
Why do you need to say something when all anyone is asking is that you actually do something?
Yeah.
It's all about what are we going to say and not what are we going to do
It just
to protect a
proves-
child.
It just proves what corporations are actually scared of. You know,
Yep.
this is, you know,
They're more terrified of him
Right.
than they are of the allegations against him.
they're more terrified of him because of the context, like he's shrouded himself with as a layer of protection, which is my theory. You know, but who cares? He said, you know, he's working it out in therapy, guys. It's been like 27 years. and like,
Him and Amber Heard, they're hanging out.
yeah.
I'm just I'm
Thanks.
past it, man. I just at this point the story is so ridiculous that it feels like I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if like the Daily Beast was like, psych, we made all that up, and I'd be like, well, joke's on you. All the other stuff was so ridiculous, it just seemed like truth to me.
Yeah, well, it's hard. It's like you just don't know like where this is gonna go, right? Like it feels like he is like when was the stuff with this other unnamed kid? They said they refer to it like it was this year, and so like over the past couple of years, he's become more and more and more erratic.
Yep.
I mean, just looking at like a story about what's her name, Takata.
Yeah,
Tokata.
Tokata Iron Eyes.
She dropped out of the
Takota-
school she was
Takata,
going
yeah.
to in December 2021 to
Yeah.
go live with him. So like this pattern of behavior is happening in real time. I think we're used to talking about these stories like allegations that come out Me Too style.
Resurfaced,
like
yeah.
years later. 17 years ago when I was a child actor on this set, this person behaved inappropriately with me. But I feel like we're watching it
But this
live
person's actively endangering children like
now. And
right
it's,
now.
That's the
we're,
thing.
we're watching it live and there's like nothing we can do, but we all know it's wrong. And it is weird that this studio is like,
Yeah.
15 years from now, somebody will be doing a podcast talking about this, saying, why didn't anybody give a crap?
Why
And
is it almost like given more gravity when something resurfaces than when we're talking about something in real time?
Yeah.
Because the deed has been done and they want broken people.
I
That's
feel like
that's how I feel about this world now. Like everyone just wants to hurt equally. Everyone just like, you know, misery loves company, and everyone just wants everyone to be miserable. This guy is a monster, you know, and if you know and you're facilitating him, you are a monster as well. Like point blank.
A representative for Miller could not be immediately reached for comment, most likely
no
because they're
way.
taking
Also
a bunch
on
of
the run.
Prozac and are just like, what? Like,
Well, also,
imagine
like-
that job.
Well-
Imagine being Miller's like public relations dude.
But also, like, don't you think the police immediately contacted them? I was like, you have to tell us where they are. So, like, this public relations person can't put out a statement and acknowledge they have been in contact with Miller
Yeah.
Miller without becoming a problem in this investigation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
that's crazy to me.
Makes me
Which
feel.
also means that he's putting everyone he works with, like, in jeopardy. Like, it is crazy to me that, like, this is someone we're watching operate live, and it's just supposed to be like, oh, well, he was like that fun guy in that one movie. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Super chats, just because it's.
Let's go. Javi J said, first rule of Final Fantasy, love no one. Is that true?
Not really.
Just get hurt, fall in love, and they die in the second part.
I mean, usually, like by the end, you like figure it out. But
Waffle Sensei said that this child's parents sound like Priscilla's parents, allowing deeply disgusting and inappropriate behavior, hoping for their child to get famous.
yeah,
We were talking about Priscilla Presley the other day,
Yeah.
and it's strange when you juxtapose the extremely like that these parents are extremely interested in their child's life, but in a negative way where
Yeah.
they're trying to manipulate it for like financial security or like
That's
notoriety.
wild, dude.
Unavailable ID name said Whoopi
Thank
Goldberg
you.
defended Roman Polanski and said it wasn't I don't know if I want to say that. The world is sick.
Yeah. There's also the pictures of her with like Harvey Weinstein being buddy, and then anytime she complains, I'm like, yeah, but yeah.
Meryl Streep is the big one for Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
She's like a huge admirer.
Yep.
Good times.
Javi J said
Who?
the depravity of Hollywood
Meryl
is
Streep?
just now having a light shone upon it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I just think that one of the reasons like Hollywood and a lot of like mainstream celebrities hate internet culture so much and hates not like YouTubers and stuff like that is not just because of like we talked about Jennifer Aniston and fame being kind of like weighed down by like I don't know.
She was saying the actor's job is being diluted
Diluted,
because
thank
of
you.
how easy it is to get attention.
But I think one of the reasons they also hate it is because the democratization of the information makes it a lot easier for their misdeeds to be spread more widely, when before one powerful executive, all he needs to do is call one powerful producer at a news or at like a news station and kill the story. They cannot do that with the internet, and I think they hate that.
It's a big club and you're not in it.
And we are definitely all not.
Don't want to be in it.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
I
we
thought you
need
said
to
you
do
wanted to
away
be
with
in
the
it for a second.
pretense
Like-
that anyone wants to be in it.
No, keep
Yep.
me out.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.